Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm Richard Lewis. That's Duncan Shields. Sam's pressing the buttons. We're having lots of fun off camera, of course, because we always do. How are you doing? You all right? Back from the awards?
Well, you know, that's actually, by the way, a trend I noticed, which is one of those moments you realise that the internet, well, basically just people who leave negative comments do gaslight you, even if you think they don't. Because, like, when I used to do Summon and Insight, where, you know, at the beginning, when League was really big, it had quite a big audience, you know, you'd get hundreds of comments on every episode on Reddit, etc. There would always be that trend, you know, where like whatever fans felt criticised would be like, oh, what a hateful podcast this is. It's just people shitting on other people. Meanwhile, right, what I always remember vividly is, you know, when you put the video up, sometimes like the custom thumbnail's not that interesting, right? So you look for a screenshot yourself. And I'd be looking through the screenshot in the episodes, and like 90% of the episodes is people just laughing, having fun, a little bit of banter, talking about stuff and keeping it fun, you know. And I just thought, like, I'm actually getting mad gassed that I even vaguely defend this shit. Like, it's just a fun show, isn't it? You're just talking a bit of shit. It's like being down the pub. There's no serious harm coming from it. That would be a great tagline for our show. There's no serious harm coming from it.
No serious harm. Yeah, no serious harm. Just radicalising the incels, of course.
Aside from that, though.
Yeah, aside from that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. While we're radicalizing the incels, probably should mention that this podcast is brought to you in association with Rivalry.gg. You can go to Rivalry.gg/RLS and earn up to $350 of VIP bonuses. So yeah, I'm actually doing a video at the moment on awards because like we've got a fuck ton of them now. Like we've got like something like 9, 8 esports awards. Yeah, and. Listen, if you want to talk about getting triggered, right? Like, keep in mind, people always make out that me and you are part of some fucking old boys network.
By the way, you know what I love about that? I've never heard it from anyone who's like credible in esports. Though, have you ever noticed that?
Of course not.
They're all in the real club, and we're not fucking in still. We're just tolerated by the old boys.
So right, there were I didn't get my first award. I was nominated for plenty, but I didn't get my first award until 2016. That was literally my first award, right? After being active from 2005 and all that work down the years. And anyway, you've just got to understand like how fucking wild it is, because I never get bothered about awards. Like I've said it before, if you're the kind of person who gets like bothered about not being nominated, never winning the awards, you have to understand what they are. It's just a load of shit. They never give you them when you deserve them. You always get them later for something else. It's like the fucking Oscars like that. You know what I mean? Like Scorsese does.
Oh, it is for sure.
Yeah, you get a lifetime achievement award after being ignored for 20 years or whatever. But I saw these what's it called? The Games Awards or whatever with Jeff Keighley, right?
That's a pretty bad one, I have to say. It's
right.
So pleb-like, isn't it?
Mate. They've moved into esports, right? Now, I never get triggered about not getting nominated for anything, but keep in mind, because obviously I'm not going to be hosting events ever again because I can't risk going. I can barely leave the house the way I have to live these days, with just hordes of mentally ill people all wanting to kill me for things that I've never said and don't believe. That's just how I have to live my life, right? Okay, fine, right? So, but I won't be going to Counter-Strike events, so I'll never get a chance again to be nominated for Host of the Year. But one of the events they've got on, Event of the Year, the Boston Major, I did host. I hosted that. It was nominated for Event of the Year, single highest Twitch count for a live event with like 1.3 million. Big thing. It was in my visa, right? Like it's a big recognized media achievement. So I didn't get nominated for Esports Host of the Year. And there's some good names on there, so fair enough. It's pretty strong. It's a strong field. You got Shocks on there. She's brilliant. You got Machine on there. Obviously, the ubiquitous Machine. Red Eye.
Which awards is this? The one called the Game Awards?
Yeah, just the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley, right? And they do Esports Host of the Year. Golden
I'm looking at the advisory panel, mate. I don't see anyone from Esports on there.
No, of course not, right?
It just seems to be like mainstream gaming people.
Right. So Golden Boy is breaking new ground. Like he's just going to be doing an actual real TV show, nothing to do with esports. So, building on that work, right? And then the other host on that list, Anders Bloom. Right? Now,
we already get rid of this mad concept that we've got in these awards, by the way, where either shit or get off the pot. Give commentators an award, or give interviewers an award, or get, don't make these like vague, nebulous groups. Like they do it for Broadcaster a Year and the other one, mate. It'll go from like Bardolph to someone who does interviews at the ULCS to like Machine hosting everything. It's like, well, what is the fucking broadcaster? What is that? These terms mean nothing now, do they?
I mean, first of all, sure, a much better award would be like just have a recognised commentator like you do in sports awards, sure. But Anders...
Fuck it, I'm voting for Anders, fuck it. I always say, Rich, if I can't fix things, let them burn to the ground.
I may as well now, because
let's do it. Everyone on this call, vote for Anders now, and then when he wins, just tag in all Sharks, Red Eye, and go, you're being beat by someone who doesn't even fucking host.
So here's the
You're a disgrace.
Right? Like, I can't help but look at it and think, I definitely could have been there, right? Like, Anders hasn't even hosted an event ever in his career. He hasn't even, not once has he sat in the host chair. Like, not once, and he's been nominated for host of the fucking year. What's that about? It's outrageous.
Probably what happened is when Refresh was trying to buy his award, they actually ticked the wrong box. Oh, shit, did I say that on air? Whatever. I don't know, Rich, it's weird.
Come on, mate. Only Blizzard buy them awards, man. You know how it works. Yeah.
That's true.
Got to get them.
CP, Freddie Biskov, the 80% shareholder of Astralis, who would have bought the award as just a personal gesture to a friend who, through 3 companies of abstraction, is indeed paid by the same people. And
Sam's literally just voted while we're live as well. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. Good job.
Now, if you could just timestamp all that I just said, so I can keep my job in this industry.
No, there will be no timestamps.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was just like, fuck, we got to get it together with these awards, man. I've seen some fucking wild shit get fucking nominated. As I said, even the one that I sit on the fucking panel for, right? Fucking Overwatch League, best event of the year. Be me the fuck up, man.
I mean, someone who thinks Overwatch isn't a bad game to watch, but get the fuck off my face. Because the most criminal part of that is, right, to even actually consider it as a legitimate contender, it would have to meet basic requirements, okay? So here's the problem. It was the best live event, right? Well, the problem with that is the Overwatch League finals were only there was 4 teams. No, there was 6 teams in the playoffs. And I believe the finals literally just means just the final.
Yeah.
So, one match. Well, I mean, it's like a best of 7 or whatever. You know what I mean? One match is better than the whole TI8.
I know, it's bonkers.
Universe. You'd have to basically think TI is really shit and Dota's a really bad game for that to be better, because we're not talking about an equal playing field, It's unfair, isn't it?
I don't think there was an event on that list, right, that wasn't better. Like, straight up.
I don't watch Call of Duty, but from what I've seen, the Call of Duty world is a mad fucking spectacle. There's loads of teams, right?
Yeah. So you got the CWL finals, you got fucking League of Legends Worlds, you got the International, you got the Boston fucking Major, all objectively, I'm like you, I don't watch a lot of Call of Duty. I think as well, there might even have been the Rainbow Six finals. They were fucking sick.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that as well, yeah.
Yeah, they were sick. I watched them, and the first event I ever watched in Rainbow Six. So, utter madness to give it to fucking Overwatch. I don't even know how that happened. Well, I have my suspicions, of course, but we'll file them away in the fucking... Yeah, put them in the fucking back of my brain for the book when I'm on my deathbed.
Here's the thing, it's just those fucking, those little gnomes that you leave a sack with a big $sign on out, and then all of a sudden it just gets into the sort of fucking safe, Scrooge McDuck-esque vault of the person you want, and then all of a sudden your dreams come true. It's an ancient ritual, I believe. It's sort of magical or something,
Yeah. What was the name of that guy who wrote fucking... What was the name of that guy who wrote that book, Last Exit to Brooklyn? Hubert Selby Jr.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you... I don't know if you know the story about him.
Supposed to die when he was dead young, right?
Yeah, so what happened was he was told he had tuberculosis and they were going to have to cut out all of his lungs. And it was so rampant or something that he was only going to be left with half a lung and it probably wouldn't sustain him and he was going to die. So just make your peace with your gods. The vicar's on standby. You know what I mean? And he anyway. So he said, well, this is it. They said you're going to be dead in a few weeks. So he's like, well, I've done nothing, lasting with my life, so I'm going to write a book. So he got his friend to get him a typewriter and a big pile of paper, and he was lying in a hospital bed, and he wrote this unbelievable book, Last Exit of Brooklyn. Go out and read it, guys. It's like this seedy underbelly of the fucking city at night. Just run away. Some of the stuff that happens in it is just outrageous. And he wrote this book thinking, well, fuck it. It doesn't matter what I put in it because I'm never going to have to deal with the aftermath because I'll be fucking dead. So he really went to town. And then he got a tap on the shoulder and went, nowhere near as bad as what we thought it was. You're going to make a full recovery. And he was left with this outrageously disgusting book, which he then got published. That's going to be how I'm going out of esports, mate. Except I probably will die because that's just how it works, isn't it? And there will certainly be some discussions about awards in there.
Good.
Yeah, let's talk about Counter-Strike, shall we? Obviously, we missed some events last week, so what I've decided to do is just to sum them up with the winners, so we keep it in a nice brisk pace. So we'll talk about Epicenter, right? And I don't know if you remember, where were you when NiKo installed himself as Grand Dictator, God Emperor of FaZe in the Banana Republic of FaZe clan for life? Where were you when this happened? Well,
here's the thing. NiKo there, mate, was just like that fucking thing. You remember the sequel to Riddick, the one Chronicles of Riddick? Yeah. Like the plot, and if anyone who says this is a spoiler, by the way, it's not a movie you can spoil, so don't worry about that. Right? When he goes to this like mad empire thing of like the fucking necromongers or whatever, the whole point is he just wrecks them, right? And at the end, they're just like, I know the name's fucking amazing, isn't it? But when he wrecks them, right, he wrecks them from the grounds of like, oh, this is fucked up. Then they all just start worshiping like, you're the new king. And he's like, yeah, actually, I'll take over this shit. That's all NiKo's done, isn't it? He's like, oh, the way you call's fucked up. Then everyone else's face is like, oh, shit. Yeah, but the way you call's great. Yeah, I'm the fucking daddy. Like, he's done that shit, hasn't he? He's gone and done that, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, look, so this is how I'm tying it all together. Because people will remember they did go out there and they did win Epicenter, which I was, again, a bit scared that Na'Vi were going to win it when they made it to the final. Yeah. Yeah, the Epimongers. Like when NiKo installed himself as God Emperor for life / benevolent dictator, holy is thy name, Niko Kovac. We thought that Carrigan was going to be out of the team, right? Like we thought he was definitely going to be going. They've done a bunch of interviews saying we're just going to change role, we're not going to change lineup, we're going to find a way to make it work. And obviously, I don't know if that's the way to approach it, like the FaZe project now, but they did win a tournament. Now, obviously, and en route to winning that tournament, of course, masterminded best of 3 win over Astralis, which is was that Chicago?
No, that was Chicago. They did.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Astralis wasn't at this one. They were at Blast at the time.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, we're coming to
Team
Chicago.
Liquid and then Na'Vi they beat.
Yeah, that was it. Team Liquid, sorry. So another top 3 team that they beat. And then they beat, obviously, Na'Vi, who have been very firmly second best team in the world. So is this new look FaZe with NiKo, who, by the way, has been easily back to form, the best player on the team by some distance, carrying and leading as well, is this FaZe something that can develop, get good? Is the God Emperor's vision of FaZe the way that it needs to go? Or actually is this just like an extension of what FaZe have always been, which is they're the quintessential puncher's chance team?
Well, the thing that looked pretty legit, because they played like the 3 events with NiKo. They had the Epicenter, then they had the Blast Pro Series Copenhagen, which obviously made it best of ones, and then they went to IM Chicago afterwards. Like, if you sum it all up, it looks pretty positive, I have to say. Like, if I ignore the concept of who's calling, they're better now than they were for the last, 2 months with Carrigan. Like, I can't really argue that. It does look good. And I have to say, NiKo pretty much the whole time, individually, is going ham. It is reminiscent of when he was in Mousesports in that sense. But sometimes the others do join him. Like, I have to say, that's why I say overall, I think the team is actually better, believe it or not. So I'll give him credit in that sense. My problem is this, like, I feel as though what he's just done now, while it does look good and maybe even consistent, I don't think it can go much further. So I actually don't think it gets FaZe entirely out of the mess that they're in. Like, I think if anything, it'll just make them like the 3rd or 4th best team, maybe, or something, you know? Like, I don't think they're going to become the best team, even though, indeed, yeah, they've beaten Astralis at Chicago, as you alluded to. So there's some really good results in there. But if you go and look, like it very much looks like map dependent. You know, they have a couple of maps they're really good on. Some of the rest I'm not as convinced by, and obviously the way they lost in Chicago at the end, what kind of like dampened it a little bit. But you know, that's just one match. They've had some very good matches under Nico, so I can't be. But this way, I'm a lot less critical than I was when I first heard the move. Like I thought it was going to fail way worse than this.
Yeah. Do you think that Carrigan is still kind of earmarked for going out then, or would it be something a bit more radical? I mean, I get lots of messages. Like people always do this, by the way. Like you know, this is going to sound a little bit fucked up. I hope people understand where I'm coming from.
Attacking the fans as usual, is it?
As always, mate. No, like I get these like messages, like I get emails where it's just always like, "Hey, Richard, just wanted to know what you think about this," and it's like, you know, it'll be like some really dull question, just like, I've noticed that Carrigan hasn't been playing very good in FaZe. Do you think that? But if it's like it's an email, it's like.
Yeah, you just reply, do I look like a fucking jukebox? Then sling your fucking hook. P.S. Donate to my Patreon, cunt.
It's like, you know,
I've got that template ready to go at all times. Just put in the person's name.
We do a weekly podcast where we talk about things that are relevant to Counter-Strike. It's like
some would say never stop banging on about stuff. We do. It's like 2 hours long, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So I always think that's a little bit weird when people drop that on me. Like, what do you think about this really, you know, inane question?
You can also literally ask questions on the podcast if you just pay.
Yeah, exactly.
If you poor, well then guess what? No penny for your fucking thoughts. I never heard that. Even a bum gets a fucking penny for his thoughts. We get nothing. You know, can't. Anyway, love all the Patreons.
Yeah, love all the Patreon spots. You're all true blue. There's going to be another one of the fucking proper mentally ill, you know, take your pick, Radiant Sun, you know, one of these guys will be going, this is serious. They hate their own fans and they hate the Patreon supporters, which I definitely am one.
You're going to love this. Yeah, you know, I did that feature when I was at Summit where they actually inadvertently, they don't know this, but they basically just copied what you did years ago, where you had me video me when I was eating my food or whatever. And obviously I just wreck all the food everywhere because I have mad specific tastes, right? So they did a feature at Summit where I was like reviewing food, but obviously I played up as well and go even more ham, right? So obviously almost everything I say in this, including all the reviews, by the way, is tongue-in-cheek in some way. Like even if I say the food's good, I'm doing it in like a sarcastic manner.
Oh,
you know, like
the Chick-fil-A bit.
Yeah. So for example, one part, for example, you know, even when I compliment something, I just say one thing that's good about it is it's not made on the West Coast, because obviously I'm on the West Coast when I say that. You know, it's like I'm just roasting the room, basically, you know. Well, first of all, yeah, the Chick-fil-A part, some people are so dumb, they actually think that I'm like purposely dog whistling that I hate gay people. And then also, probably the funniest part, this is the part I was definitely going to reference though, is there's one part where just cause, it's like the whole point, it's an absurd joke, you know, it doesn't even go anywhere. I just go, and you know, it's just like fucking Wiener Schnitzel, and I fucking hate Germans. And I just leave it there. There's not even a punchline. You know, the joke is like, what a ridiculous thing to say after just eating some food, right? You should see, right? Yeah, I love German humor, right? Because it's so weird. It's sort of so quirky in its way. So loads of Germans were messaging me, and they were like putting messages on the fucking YouTube video, and they're like, he thinks that the German Wiener Schnitzel is from Austria. And there's loads of them just commenting like, yeah, it's not even German. It's like, oh, God, the banter's just too much for these Germans.
Yeah, I know. It's the thing as well, like,
I don't like it. I don't care where it's from, but shit, you idiots.
No, but as if you're fucking having to keep track of every type of German sausage as well. Like, you know what I mean? Fucking hell. But yeah, so I saw that.
Where food came from. My granddad could have been a little bit lazier, couldn't he? But he wasn't, so it's not my fault. Get your fucking head in the game. Losers complain about where food's from. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen of the World War II. I don't know. But whatever, you get the gist.
So I mean, like, yeah, I did see it though. I saw there was like this chain of like discussion where it was like, I don't know if Thorin was being tongue in cheek there about Chick-fil-A stance on gay marriage.
It's like, you know, like, I don't know, Rich. I have watched every WrestleMania, but I think Undertaker might be real. I think he might actually be dead. Like, it's not even a chance of it, isn't there? There's not even the premise has been. I think we've had some fucking kayfabe over the years, like, but I believe we do know it is all fake, you know.
Yeah, but no, like it was like Thorin is clearly alt-right, was one of those. So obviously he probably does hate the gays and probably is Christian and all this. And I'm like,
it's not the ones I do like, though.
The
ones I actually legit do like, Richard, the ones that go, yeah, but Thorin actually probably is being serious. But I like his videos anyway. I actually do legit like those people. They're funny.
I'm pretty sure there was one or two comments that got deleted as well where it was good. It's good that Thorin is taking a stance against the gays. I'm like, right, all he said was he made a joke about Chick-fil-A and their fucking stance on gay marriage. Why is he triggering an 80 comment fucking discussion?
This is the part of that, right? I always say this whenever people try to imply like a joke is racist, because actually most of what people will say is a racist joke nowadays. We're not talking about like explicitly racist, but all the ones that are tongue in cheek like that. The whole reason it's a joke is because it's the notion that it would be absurd if you actually were racist. Like, who would be in the modern day? So, if you just took it as said, it wouldn't even be humor. Like, why would I put that in a comedy video? And more importantly, why would Beyond the Summit, who edited out loads of other stuff, by the way, that they didn't think was funny, why would they leave that in? Cut it purposely to look like that, and then go put it on our social media channels. Maybe get ourselves wrecked politically. Like, they wouldn't, would they? They understand it's a joke. In fact, they probably didn't even think it was harsh. Yeah. Also, do fucking love some Chick-fil-A. Yeah, and don't like working on Sundays myself. I relate. Not for any political reasons, though. Believe it or not,
it's good chicken. So anyway, back to these cunts who send me these weird emails, right? Yeah, those guys seem to think that. I think Carragher is doing a good job, and it is Rain who should be kicked. What do you think, Richard? Never replying, so this is your moment. So if you sent that fucking email, I hope you're watching. So, I mean, do you think Fizz could still make a roster swap here? And if so, is there a chance that it's not Carragher who goes out the door? It is actually Rain who does, because he's not the all-conquering hero he was, sure. I still think it would be ridiculous, but,
Here's the problem, is from seeing how they've played at the moment, I actually don't think it's impossible. Like, personally, I was one of the people, mate, where I even think, bearing in mind, I think that they do eventually need an in-game leader. I was in favour of 2 roster moves in phase. Like, you've got so much talent, you can build a bunch of different teams out of this, So for me, Carragher obviously is one because you want a new in-game leader, but then I would have made the hard choice, either Olaf or Rain. One of them goes, one stays, that's fine. Whichever you choose, I could see a way to make it work. So Rain, it's not impossible. Bearing in mind, if you've ever seen any interviews with Nico since Olaf left the team, Nico is 100% in on Olaf being in the team, and as far as I can tell, Olaf's enjoying it again. So just politically, I don't think he's going to be leaving that team in anyway. So logically, Rain's it's a Rain or Guardian, right? And again, Are you going to kick out Guardian after all he's done? Probably not. You need Norpa, So yeah, I don't think it's impossible you remove Rain. I don't really know where he goes. I'm sure he's obviously not in favour of that. The main thing for me is, like, obviously, does Carragher keep his head above water? And in most of the matches I've watched so far, he did actually. Like, I have to say, it's not been terrible. Like, he hasn't been like mad fragging or anything. His numbers aren't crazy, but like, he was useful, put it that way. He actually was doing something with whatever kills he was getting, and seemed like the key thing for me is he didn't do what I'll always give Happy as the example of this, where it's like, right, we've all decided you can't be in-game leader anymore. Oh, okay, I'll just sabotage the game for you all then. He didn't do that, He actually looked like he was like, right, okay, you're the leader then. I'll try and be a fucking support player or whatever, and whatever your vision is, do that. Because obviously, I didn't anticipate that myself, mate. I thought, either he played so badly he'd just be kicked immediately, or you'd just eventually get self-respect and be like,
it did look like it was going to be another golden situation.
Yeah, it looked like he understood that by the tweets that we all saw, the sort of cryptic tweets, So put it this way, if indeed it continues on and he stays in the team, fucking mad credit to Carragher for being able to somehow swallow his ego and just stick around, because there's a lot of people who are newer in-game leaders who that's exactly what you want in your team, is like an old in-game leader who will stick around and do half the strap for you, like make sure that the glue the pieces together, as it were, that can be mad valuable in my opinion.
Yeah, I can just imagine how that would fucking go down as well. Karen, Nico, what you could do in the middle of that? Shut up! He's brilliant. Love him. Big fan.
And then all the Germans. That is not a German accent. It's like Bosnian or something. Why you joke?
Now to have so delicious Wiener Schnitzel. Anyway, that's a gif. Right, so let's talk about the summit. That was another event that happened that we didn't talk about. NRG won it.
I can't even. Wait a minute. Well, can I just ask you one question before we go? I wanted to check if I'll use like some mad 80s comedian rhyme. Am I taking crazy pills? Like, that like mad hack thing they always say.
Yeah. Am I taking crazy pills? Yeah.
So here's the question.
Big fan.
Am I the only one who doesn't get the hype around Wiener Schnitzel? Why they're always going on about it?
Wait, we're back to Wiener Schnitzel.
I just want to know, like, am I the only one who's not getting it?
Is there hype around Wiener Schnitzel?
The Germans are always saying it's amazing. You've got to have this.
Right, I'll bring in Sam as an independent adjudicator.
If he knows, come on.
Sam, you've been to Germany,
yeah,
right?
I always get told about currywurst, but that's probably because of the time I went.
Currywurst.
True.
I did go a lot around the winter. They do love a currywurst in the winter time.
They do fucking. Now, here's the thing. Now you've got me thinking, because I've never heard a German hype up Wiener Schnitzel. Probably it's because it is from Austria and they don't like it must suck for the Germans because everything bad that comes out of Austria gets put on them. Meanwhile, everything
and
good
also,
gets recognized as Austrian.
Austria
Definitely a Hitler joke there.
Obviously, Austria did actually successfully have a world empire for a while, whereas the Germans, like, they sort of like got a sick fucking cross in from the wing, you know. They handled it immediately. They started going to a volley and then just messed it all up, didn't they? In the penalty box, just missed. Spooned it over the bar. Andy Cole, England performances, first 25.
Why did you have to bring Andy Cole up?
Listen, Frank, he was shit, mate. He couldn't have fucking score for anything, could he?
No, but he got 43 goals in one season when he was at Newcastle.
He was at Newcastle, then you know what? He betrayed the Magpies and, like a fucking traitorous magpie, lost all his fucking shit for some shiny stuff, didn't he? I stamp his fucking nest out. I don't even know what that means. And that is
Are you on medication?
An OBE Andy Cole, I assume.
Yeah. Andrew Cole, he likes to be called now, don't forget. Yeah. So back to you, Sam. Wiener Schnitzel. Have you ever heard it hyped?
No, I don't think so.
Me either. I'm not going to lie. Currywurst I have had. And I've got to say, yeah, every time I've been to fucking Germany, some cunt is telling me to eat a currywurst. And it's just like, maybe
ketchup on and curry powder. That's it.
That's all it is. That is literally all it is. I can make my own, like.
No, it's not special or anything.
No. But you said this about pierogies.
I said they're shit.
I don't like pierogies either, mate. Pierogies a dog.
No, I think pierogies fucking over it.
And then you're just going, that's just your dinner. And you go, but that's a starter, is it? Nah, it's just your dinner. And by the way, we invented it. Pretty sure the Chinese did. They had like writing like thousands of years ago. Nah, it does. The Poles, notorious for inventing stuff. Every 3 years where we're not getting wrecked by some other country. Just historical. Not nothing hateful about that. Just history.
But yeah, pierogies. Yeah, fuck. I'm not a big fan.
It's like dumplings, so who cares? If you want a real dumpling, fucking sue it out, boy. We'll start going to town on your bitch ass, gravy and everything.
Right, but I've never heard Wiener Schnitzel hyped, so I'm gonna shut that conversation down, and we're gonna talk about someone who has been hyped. Great segue, and that is the ever rising stars of NRG, and they won their first tournament, CS Summit. People are saying the audio mics are messing up. It's a Skype thing. We're on Skype. You've watched this podcast before, right? They're not messing up. They're operating as Skype intends them to. You can type in the chat all you want, but until I buy Microsoft a fucking absolute travesty that is Skype and buy something good that actually works, right? This is what we've got. We're not on Discord, guys. We're not on Discord, right? We're on Skype. This is how it is. Fucking deal with it, right? Or fuck off. Right, good. Glad we got there. So anyway, for the third time, NRG, they won the CS Summit. You were there. You were on the couch. You got to watch them win and get over the hump finally, right?
It weren't just playing optic in the final, to be fair. You know, I don't know what kind of hump that is. Like,
no, but here's the thing, right? We've cast them as, you know, perennial chokers a little bit.
Yeah, they are. Mate, it's CS Summit. Even Team Liquid won CS Summit, for fuck's sake.
Well, all right. So, well, let's just get into it, right? So, traditional chokers, but the first tournament is the big one. It's like it's the thing that gets you over the hurdle in your mind, and you find out.
Shanghai as well, remember?
Okay, yeah, I suppose I should count Shanghai. Yeah. So the one, I'm less inclined to count Shanghai, honestly, but whatever, right? So. Is this where NRG can now, you know, breathe a little bit easier, start becoming a fully fledged team? You know, Breezy was playing lights out the entire tournament. I think he's finally starting to look like the player. You know, I've been saying that he could be for a while. Are they likely to go out there and kind of, do more things on an international stage? I know, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about Chicago and how they were, I suppose, well, maybe not underwhelming. Maybe they did punch where you'd expect them to there. But what do you think? I mean, obviously, you've got to watch them play the entire tournament up close.
Like, the problem with them is they do clearly have something in the team. Like, they're not a joke, and they definitely are a team that I actually think could beat better teams than they currently do. Like, I think the key thing with them for me is, like, my joke with them is if Team Liquid's mini Astralis, then this team's mini Team Liquid, because, like, they've got similar, like, trio of stars. They're also much younger, so they're still on the way, maybe like next year's when they pop off properly. They've already had some decent wins. Crucially, they mainly beat a lot of the teams that are below them, which is still no easy feat, You to consistently beat the teams below you means you are showing that you're better than them all, Whereas a lot of other teams, some of the teams at this tournament, the Optics, the Bigs of the world, their problem is they can come close to beating a big team and then they'll go straight to the next tournament, lose to like 3 lesser teams. NRG generally won't do that. They're much better than them in general. So considering people talk at the moment about how we've got Astralis and this small pack behind them and then everyone else, they're moving way up to everyone else part of it. It's just they haven't yet shown me they're going to go into the just below Astralis pack. Like that is the quality of like the Team Liquid, Na'Vi, FaZe. Like those guys look a bit ahead.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like I said, I think they've got lots of potential. I mean, this is the highest I think they've been in the world rankings on HLTV. They have them at 8th, which is, to give you an idea. High. Yeah, they're just below NIP and MIBR, who honestly, I mean, when I look at the next 3 teams above them, which is NIP, MIBR, and Mouse Sports, I think there's a chance NRG could win best of 3s against those teams.
Oh, they beat MIBR at Chicago. So
yeah,
it was one they've already done. Yeah,
so
they could match up with some of these teams for sure.
Yeah, but below them you've got Big, North, Fnatic, so I think they are, a team that like certainly could be a little bit higher in the rankings. They could go as high as 5, 6. Which is like, it was unthinkable when they first put this team together. So
this is not a team that's done a big roster move. They actually did come up as a whole squad. It's pretty legit.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you consider, Cirque was the sort of equivalent of a big roster move for them, and famously, once again, another one that was in the lose column for us. You did your great joke about Cirque du Soleil. Always remember that.
Bit of a crowbar, but yeah, it was memorable though. Much like Cirque du Soleil, you don't really know what was doing. There was a lot of contortion, probably overvalued as entertainment, but in the end, ultimately memorable. Not bad.
Not bad. Very good.
And now look at my balls, aka the Blue Man Group.
Why are you like this?
Don't know. I just am. Stuck give a fuck tonight.
Oh God, give me strength. Right. So that was there anything else from the summit you think that was worthy to talk about? I gotta say, they took the Take TV format, and I really liked the event last time around. Just so people know, there's a lot of people going, Richard doesn't get invited to events. Same thing they say about you. Difference being, I actually do say no to them. You actually go, and people say you're not invited to events anymore. But they did invite me to go out there. But I'm 100% serious when I say I'm not doing events anymore. But I that was the one event where I was like watching it, and I kind of thought, you know what, fuck, it actually sucks not to be there. It had a great vibe.
You'd like that, mate. It's exactly your sort of atmosphere, actually.
Yeah, but I can't, man.
Just because you have trauma from Home Story Cup or whatever Ace of Predator Masters was like. No. I know that might be PTSD in your brain. There was no Babam there, don't worry. It was just all legit people.
No, I know that. But it's not even that, mate. Because, funny story. Take Dennis, who I've known for many, many years, did get in touch with me and was going, I might be doing another event in future. Like, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm like, are you fucking mad?
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, do you remember what happened at the last one? Where
legally... Weren't you just like bullying my mate? I mean, it's all right, we're all still mates and that, but why did you bully him? I was wondering, Richard. And also, didn't you choke slam him through a table at Hell in the Cell 1997, isn't it? But dude, love.
Yeah, but he said to me, right? He goes, I didn't even know what was going on. Did something happen? And I was like, right, okay. So I was getting absolutely bombarded on Twitter and Reddit for something I objectively didn't do once again. right?
Love that.
Yeah, like objectively, like was replying to people. Show me in the video where I said that to Babam. Show me in the video where I told him to speak English. All these other mad allegations that would be thrown. Sure, it was on video. It's like going to court and your evidence is I got him on CCTV doing the murder, Your Honor, and you just play the tape and he's not even in it, and you go, see, it's just it's just a car park. You're like, that was what was happening to me. I'm going to you know. So anyway, he didn't even know about it and fucking said, but it's not that. It's not that. That's not why I'm not going. Okay. It's like it's legit a fucking stage now where it's like you do not want to be stood next to me out on the street, mate. Because there are motherfuckers. I get messages.
Someone going to roll up in a fucking lowrider and pull out a gun sideways,
mate. If anyone would be the first death, like from a fucking targeted esports assassination, it's 100% me.
Well, so I'll do like a reverse bodyguard, because when they fire, I'll just hit the deck and go, no, Richard, no! And then you'll just fall slowly. And then I'll go, he was shot down by the cowardly gunman. I saw it all from my vantage point of the ground, just below him.
But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like I can't go to those events because here's the thing: like the only events I go to, like say the ones where I have some say in how they're run, because then I can just get a fucking big security detail, just roll around with a fucking proper take a bullet for your bodyguards, because that's just where we're at right now. That's how I have to, So there's no way I can't say to fucking Hotbid, thanks for inviting me to the Summit House. Now I need Huel from Breaking Bad. It's not going to work, is it? So, but I was watching it and I thought that fucking event looks really cool. It would have been nice to have been there. So, were there any other sort of things you wanted to talk about that event? Because I think it's fair we give the CS Summit its due, because it was a really good event. It did give a lot of memorable moments over the course of the.
Not really. I mean, that was the event, by the way, that basically killed the G2 lineup. They even said it actually in an interview. I think it was just implied somewhere that, they had to place a certain placing, and obviously they went out way before the top spots. So I assume that was the one where their org had told them, look, there's not even any top teams here. So if you can't fucking win or come top 2 here, we're just going to have to go another route. So that's probably even fair, to be honest. If you look at them, what reason is there to keep going at this point, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about Chicago, and then we'll get into the news stories that have been going on, including talking about that G2 lineup being smashed apart. Sam, keep one eye on the time because Duncan has a hard out. So give me a 10-minute. When we're 10 minutes.
An hour.
Yeah, there you go. So let's talk about LDLC. I think LDLC with the big surprise coming out of IEM Chicago. There was a lot of chitter-chatter from the people who love the French scene, saying, "Oh, zut alors, the French have a new contender." And lots
some of them were even French.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But here's the thing: I'm not fucking sold on that, mate. I'm not sold on this idea that actually LDLC were that good. I think this is like a classic thing that happens at big international tournaments, where a team that nobody prepares for or even thinks about comes to an event, they catch everyone with their fucking trousers down, everyone goes, "Oh, look, they're fucking brilliant," and then Tournament 2, Tournament 3, the performances start to drop off, and then you just never hear from them again. This is like a phenomenon that happens in
many times.
Yeah, all the time. And yeah, I just thought so obviously their results were legit, no doubt, but they definitely benefited from being that fucking huge underdog. And on top of that, I have got to say, some of the teams they played, I mean, it's not like these teams weren't there for the taking. Sure. They had a narrow series win over Renegades, narrow series win over North, narrow series win over NRG. I mean, these are teams that are notorious fucking crumble cases anyway at the best of times. So there was a lot of 3 asterisks next to LDLC for me. I guess you're not buying into the hype either then.
No, for me, it was exactly what you're saying. It was Ensett, the fucking ESL 1 Cologne, or if you go back to the beginning of the year, I think it was IEM Sydney or whatever, where Tai Lu made top 4. It's these sorts of a run where, no one really has that team on the radar, especially not, by the way, in this format, because, it's best of 3s. So I agree with you. In the moment, on those days, yeah, it was legit because they're winning best of 3s over good teams. But if I even have to run that back again another day, it is a Cinderella run. Like, they just wake up and normal people again. They're probably just okay. And also, I think if you look at that lineup, like, I could, first of all, not only is that lineup like primed to just get torn apart if anyone actually shows himself to be really good, but I thought it was mainly like, one person had a great game here, then another person had a great game over it. It wasn't like, this player's so legit, he must be picked up. Like, this guy is the next top French player. Like, anyone who went with that angle, no. If anything, this lineup just shows you that, like, the French scene's a bit of a mess still, that this team can do this, but, like, we're waiting for Vitality to get lower land. G2's done fuck all, generally, like, if anything, it's more of a state of the French scene in that sense.
Yeah, and look, I'm happy that like Amanek and Duvek or whatever the fuck, that these guys didn't just disappear. I mean, when you think about how Misfits went down, how that entire project was so fucking, well, the project got fucking peacemaking among other fucking things. Like, those players played legitimately well. I mean, if people remember, and obviously it's fresh, it's very fresh to me because it was the E-League. When Misfits went there and they were told before they were coming in, our contracts were up for renewal. And you were like, oh, well, okay. And we'll re-sign them if we do particularly well. But Misfits did all right, I thought. There was some decent performances. And they were just like, nah, actually, in the middle of the event, they were sort of like, actually, yeah, we're not going to re-sign you. And it was like all handled so poorly. Those guys had, if I remember rightly, they'd also moved out to NA to sort of, fucking graft hard and get in the team house and boot camp. And I thought they played very, very well. I thought Sean Gares got a lot out of them. And obviously you could see they did have some raw skills that could be channeled with a really good in-game leader. Now, I know Logan is the IGL, isn't he, of LDLC, I think. And I don't know how highly... he's rated as an IGL, like domestically or by other people. But I mean, again, I thought Amanek and Duvek, they fucking looked really good at this tournament with all these asterisks there. So yeah, I think perhaps overlooking them for other French projects, because obviously we're going to get to G2 a little bit later on. Maybe those guys could have slotted into a team like G2 instead of these sort of very little known players that have been picked up by them. But yeah, I'm still not sold on LDLC are going to arrive and be this like big international force and the French scene's going to sort itself out. Not sold on that at all. While we're talking about the French scene, we may as well bring up Vitality. I was going to bring this up later on in the show, but this is a good segue into it. What a fucking load of bollocks. Like, what a letdown. What a massive fucking letdown.
I mean, they haven't gone to land, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, qualifiers, and second of all, they're still trying to get this shit together. I mean, the one thing you can say about Vitality is that Ziwu is looking legit. I mean, like, no doubt about it. I think all the question marks around him is a piece of talent. I can't remember the last game I watched with those in it where Ziwu wasn't like top fragging, looking really good, clutching rounds, keeping them in maps. Meanwhile, my gut feeling is, because this is a few months into it now, my gut feeling is the idea of Happy just being a player and somehow he's going to change the style, that ultra lurking style, which is putting it very generously, by the way. Like, the idea he's ever going to change and become something else, I don't see it. I mean, I really don't. And I've been watching him. His performances have been really, really poor in this team. And I know he's like one of these guys who consider himself a great thinker, so he's going to go, oh, you do not understand what I meant to be doing and all this bullshit. I do understand when you whiff easy shots that you fucked up. I don't need to be a great thinker about the game to watch you miss easy shots, like opponents with their back turned and they fucking turn around and they somehow kill you before you've killed them. That's happened to him on a few notable occasions. Yeah, it's like, which is the ultimate sin if you're a lurker, by the way. If you can't kill someone with their fucking back to you, you got real problems. So yeah, I don't know about this team, actually. I was excited when it was put together. That excitement is pretty much all but gone right now. My expectations have been brought back down to earth with a bump. What about you?
Because if you look at them as a team, the hype was all off the names. Like, what's funny is people inadvertently did exactly what they accused me of doing with G2, which is Thorin, you're just saying because it's Kenny S and Shocks on paper, if they were to get to that level, and you're just saying if Existence was as good as he was 4 years ago, they'd be really good. Then they go along, same people who, like, earlier this year were flaming the fuck out of NBK. Fucking hell, NBK and Happy and all these guys, Apex as well, the one that we all said should join FaZe and every other team in the world. What? And then if ZWoo's good, they're going to be godlike. Oh, wait, only ZWoo's good, right? Yeah, we didn't think of that one, did you, boys? Like, first of all, whenever people are out of the game, I've said this to people before, fucking Conor McGregor found this out. The reason why the concept of ring rust exists, it's not about as in you literally weren't in the ring, like, practicing. The point is you cannot replicate in practice the feeling of a real fight. That's why, like, the best champions in MMA or boxing try not to make it go years before they have a fight next. Because obviously, when you're at a championship level, you can't just go and play like fight some nobody, because then people complain. But if you go straight for another contender, you're going to be in bad shape if he's on the way up. He's just won his last 5 fights. So the problem that they've had in this team already is exactly what G2 had. Now, G2's was the fact that, Existence and Smith just hadn't been at the top level in ages, and Shocks is on wrist injury. But Vitality clearly has the same thing. Those guys have been sat on the bench for months and months and have not come back anywhere near the form you want them in. So I'm with you. ZWoo looks good online. I haven't seen him online yet. I'm definitely interested to see that. Then again, though, at the moment, even if he failed online, I don't think I could even blame him if his team looks shit. So where is all this potential that we saw? Like, I'd love for it to be true. I'd love these names to come back. It just isn't happening at the moment.
Now, keep in mind, right, like, obviously, as you said, everything they've done, it's been online. They're a fresh team, so it's very easy to break it down. They've played 23 maps. They've won 17 of them. On the surface, that sounds really good. You're like, well, actually, that's not a bad return.
All this shit is, here we go.
Yeah, but like, wait till you see some of this, mate, and wait till you see how close some of these games are. So, first of all, they played in the IEM Chicago qualifier, where this is like the big one. Everyone was hyped and excited. They lost to Optic, and if you remember, they absolutely threw that game. They got back into some momentum on Nuke, and then they lost the second map in overtime after being one map up, and then Optic dicked them 16-8 in the decider on Mirage. Be like, okay, young team in terms of how long they've been together, right? So then they had the Europe minor qualifier where they had a win on Cash, which you would expect this team to be fucking gangbusters on, 16-14 against Left Out, right? Which is a team that was like Scream's mixed team, if I remember rightly. So that's a fucking joke, because that was a literal mixed team of rejects from other teams thrown together for the purposes of that tournament. Then they also, prior to that, by the way, they played a team called Viali Pitoni, where they had like a 16-11 fucking map against them. Viali Pitoni, I mean,
or he's the new fucking commissioner of WISA.
Yeah,
one of the two.
There you go. He's the new ES4 owner. But like, they've got players that I've never heard on, including a guy called Cracker. It's like I know. It's like, come on, right? So anyway, okay, close game there. Whatever. Then they had a loss to Sprout. Also in the Big European boys. Minor qualifier. Yeah, right. They had a loss to Psyman, who is like, again, that's the one with that was the one where everyone got up in arms, because that's the team that has that eye disbalancing that everyone's been accusing of cheating, because he's had some, good performances online. Then they lost to Valiance as well in the European minor qualifier, which Valiance with the team with Hunter in there, and obviously they picked up Esperanto, Nexa, and those guys from the Imperial. So that was a relatively fresh lineup. So and they dropped a map to fucking Fierce in the UK in the WESG qualifier and won the series 2-1. So I'll say this: if you're dropping maps to players who the fuck is Swaggy, Torton G, Fazan? Who are these UK stars? We all know how shit UK Counter-Strike is.
How have the names gotten this shit?
I know, yeah, it's pretty bad. So it is, to me, it is indicative that this team has a lot of fucking problems. And in all of that, like I say, you've got Happy. I don't even know what he's supposed to be doing. Apex hasn't hit the heights that I thought he would. I thought he'd be a little bit like fucking, Django Unchained, and be fucking out there just, smashing heads. Not happening. RPK is doing what you'd expect of RPK, but doesn't look like the same player he was prior to that bout of pneumonia, and that really seems to have disrupted his form. This is a team where basically Ziwu is the best thing about it, and he's the one with no experience. So yeah, I'm very confused, and they need to get their shit together and soon, because otherwise this is going to be an expensive flop otherwise.
It's like I told people, the reason I didn't look at this, like I said, best case scenario, the names show up and you have some firepower. That hasn't even happened. So that win condition 1 is gone. And then the other win condition is somehow you get a competent team in terms of in-game leader, the structure. Well, they don't have one. Like I told you, that's the main problem with this team. If NBK is the in-game leader, I've yet to see it work. So show me something. What have you done for me lately, as Janet Jackson said? Also, the other thing is, so the only person who's shown up in the few games you've had is the best onliner in the world. Sound.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I need more than that.
Yeah. Also, just so you know,
and they had people had the gall to say that team should be invited to events. Rich, fans are such fucking plebs. It's unreal. Like they deserve nothing but the fucking scepter crashing down upon their skull from a fucking blue blood like me of the intelligentsia of esports. Because think about it, right? They're the sort of people where if VP, motherfucking legends of the game, get invited to an event that they don't like, they're like, oh bloody esports, it's all corrupt in inviting them, and then they're like, that team that's just formed and never done anything at all. Why haven't they been invited? Because I reckon they should be. Well, that's be a bit of a mad reason to invite someone, wouldn't it, you daft cunt?
Yeah. No,
get back in your fucking little serfdom. Exactly. If I just fucking buy your space and sell you off to the moors.
Good. Glad we had that. But yeah, no, you are right. I mean, a lot of people really bought into the hype to a ridiculous degree. I was just going to say there as well, I did just get told that apparently Vitali Patoni or whatever it means, Viali Patoni means limp dicks in Russian. So there you go.
They should change Vitality to fucking that name.
Yeah, exactly. It's time.
Should be Vitality Patoni, limp dicks.
So, and the other big news in the French scene as well, of course, was what happened with G2. This is a fucking. I mean, listen, I was going to talk about it last week. I was relishing this because this to you was a move that you definitely thought could work. And you had, I want to say high hopes, I think is a fair characterization. But it just didn't fucking work at all. And the news coming in now is that they're going to drop Existence, drop Smiths, and replace them with a player called Lucky and a player called Jax. Now, for me, this just couldn't come soon enough. What I'm surprised about is the players that are coming in and stepping up. Because and obviously there's another issue. They've done the classic thing, haven't they? Oh, the team, it is failing. I don't know what accent that is. I'm just going to stop. Time for Shox IGL again, everyone. Fuck me. Wrap my big toe around this fucking shotgun and lift the back of my fucking head off. Because it's madness. Why are they doing this again? Why is this happening again? Why is Shox an in-game leader again in a failing French team again? Why does anyone think this is a good idea? Shox is not an in-game leader. He cannot be an in-game leader. He isn't an in-game leader. It only hurts his own game. Same as when he decides, today I am an AWPer. He is a fucking fragger that needs to just go and play the game without thinking about anything except banging people's heads off, which, by the way, was the only bright spot out of G2. That Shox was playing like a fucking animal again.
Yeah.
It was literally the only bright spot because Kenny S fucking he should be on a milk cart in that cunt. I haven't seen him in fucking God knows how long in terms of performance. Right? Shox was the only good thing about that fucking team. And now you're gonna put him as fucking IGL. Well, you just fucking ruined the only good thing. So I got to get your thoughts. Like, as happy as I am to see fucking Existence and Smiths consigned to the fucking Elephants graveyard, which is where they needed to be put. On day fucking one, they came into the team. But yeah, your thoughts, Duncan.
Yeah, first of all, I feel like the thing that's tilted me about, I won't say, ignore the NBK lineup, because I guess that was technically the second to last lineup. But out of the last three lineups, so the one where they had Kenny S and Shocks, but Shocks was the in-game leader the first time, 2017, and then now this lineup with Kenny S and Shocks again, but Existence this time. How the fuck have we been sold this mad false bill of goods? We've never seen the two of them playing well at the same time. It's like it's not allowed to happen somehow. It's like if one's good, the other must be bad or in some way incapacitated and not able to do it. So first of all, we never got condition one, which is those two players are star players. What would happen with that team? Then, and you know what? I actually wish Existence had never joined this team because I kept going, right? You know what? I don't even care if the firepower isn't there yet, because wait till he gets to the stage where like an MSL would be at, where like God B's at, where even without the firepower, you're seeing the strats coming through. You're seeing stuff in the server where, okay, that didn't quite work because it didn't have the firepower, whatever. The idea's there. You know what, mate? Most of the time, this looks to me like Existence didn't ever have the full keys to the car. Like, if you notice, they implied that the reason Shocks took over as in-game leader is because he already was making a bunch of the mid-round calls anyway. One of the things that disappointed me so much was that they didn't have these amazing T-sides. They were just okay. So one of the reasons I don't understand the move from Shocks himself, who is known, by the way, to be one of the most infamously capricious CSGO stars we have ever seen. Like, if you want to talk about us criticizing Nico earlier, we could have had that conversation about Shocks, like, a dozen times in the guy's career. You know, he's just been, he is so thrown from one thing to another as the wind goes. Well, the problem is when he brought Existence in, the key reason I was all in on this move is because of what he said in those interviews. He said, like, I've realized last year, you know, I couldn't be an in-game leader because it meant I couldn't be a star. And I thought to myself, there's no true captain in the scene. The only true captain was Existence. And we have to bring him in and we have to build a proper team structure. And then we'll be able to be good in months from now. That's everything I wanted to hear. He was like some fucking politician right before the elections, you know, where they're telling you all the shit that you want to hear, like, oh, I'm going to do all this, and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to bring the troops home, and you're like, oh, this is fucking amazing. And then when they get elected, well, what do you find out? Oh, they were never beholden to do any of that shit. They could just change their mind tomorrow and go, actually, you know what? Going to do the opposite. I'm sending more troops out there. You can't do anything at that point in time. So I feel like this is just a speculation. I can't know. I'm purely speculating. But even having seen Existence in LDLC, this didn't even look as tactical as LDLC, mate. Like, they had a really weak T-side. So I don't know if they were trying some fucked up compromise where in Existence's brain, he's like, well, Shocks is the only reason I'm here now, so I have to give him some level of control. But I feel like if you were Shocks, you either go all in on it and you say, right, I've brought my fucking mate Smiths back for this, so let's just go all in and do what Existence wants. Or you go, what's the point in getting Existence? The whole point in getting Existence is to bring in a whole system. It's like if you got God B, but you were like, by the way, we're going to let Smoothie just make half the calls. It's like, what would the point be? Why have God B then?
Look, well, I'm going to say this. I understand what you're saying about Existence, like not having the keys to the car. That makes sense, right? Like having to share it. Look,
it's just Shocks' world, isn't it, mate? That's the problem.
Yeah, of course it is. Like, but again, you know, I did a video about it. I didn't even get round to sort of including, like, you know, but this example, basically, we have had a culture shift where organizations have become beholden to star players and not in-game leaders anymore.
No, you said this in your video, the one that was like, who would be an in-game leader, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's inspired by Nico, Esperanto. It's totally true.
Yeah, like these days, the star players rule the fucking roost, and eventually...
Oh, I'll give you another example. You want another one that you can throw in there? FNS, when he joined Cloud9. He joined Cloud9, didn't even fully get to implement anything, and then Tarek goes, actually, I don't fancy him being in the team anymore. So they're like, oh, sorry, Tarek, we'll fire him. And then Tarek goes, another thing I'd like to leave to MIBR. It's like, that's the sort of world we live in, you know, where people, it's not even like you've got the star nailed down and you can ruin your whole team. Imperial's done it as well. Yeah,
you're right. I did miss a fucking trick there with FNS. Actually, would have been a great example for the video because he was given like a grand total of something like 27 days or something.
Mad, didn't
it was like you know, like that story about how like when fucking Brian Clough went to fucking Leeds.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's what's the name of the book that they wrote about it? The Devils.
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, it's someone in the chat.
It's a brilliant movie version of it, though, the one with Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
The Damned United.
The Damned United, that's it. That was like that. It was like FNS was meant to be the guy that was going to revolutionise, put a system in place, finally, tactical structure, take all the pressure off the players. He had no time in that team whatsoever, and he was out the fucking door. And again, you're right, star player to go over. Right now is the worst time to be a fucking in-game leader because there's all this pressure on, like...
Just fucking MSL, ask them all. Who's left?
Yeah, it is the worst time. So while I do feel some sympathy with Existence having to sort of brush shoulders with Shocks, who clearly G2 are all invested in him because ultimately if he goes, right, and you lose Kenny S as well, you've just got nothing. You just have a bunch of players. They've done
that move in that team, mate, that a lot of owners have done over the years, where you just pick your guy and you're going to go with your guy. Same way, by the way, the Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys does this all the time. He has his player who he's going to ride with all the way and build around, and anyone else who fucks that player, you're out the door no matter how good you are. You could be amazing wide receiver. You will be out of the league at this point if you don't do what he wants,
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand that, but equally as well, let's just assume, because I've known these players for years because they're Source players, right? So, there's no way Shocks has ever put together a playbook in his life. Like, he might have turned up to a game and said, I have written this on a haiku. He might have wrote a fucking poem or two to get you motivated for the game. There's no fucking way he's ever put a playbook together in his fucking career. No way, ever. Existence, on the other hand, used to turn up back before everyone had a fucking iPad or a phone, and he would just be reaming off reels from reels about what people had to fucking do and this, that, and the other. So I'm going to assume Existence was still doing that in this team. And their T-sides were dog shit, which we all know is the worst kind of shit, right? It's bad. I remember I was watching one game. I can't even remember what the fuck it was, but they had on CT they had a 12-3 half, and I remember I nearly tweeted it out, but I thought, what have I told Duncan about doing this? But I need to tweet it out, going, this isn't over. This will finish like 16-12 to them. They'll eke out the win because their T sides are garbage, and lo and behold, it exactly happened that way. It was on Dust too.
I think it was the I think it was FaZe at the major in that best of three, the one to get you in the playoffs or something.
Yeah,
I think that was the game. It was an overtime win by FaZe, from what I remember.
Yeah. It's like you just can't. You cannot give any credit to Existence. You can't give him any plaudits for how he handled his time here.
By the way, I'll let me go ahead and say this. Exactly the same criticism that I gave of FNS when he let this be done to him, and other in-game leaders when they do that. Don't get me wrong. That actually, as a person, in a way makes me respect the person less, because it's like, you don't, here's the thing, they don't railroad you like at least in the Brian Clough example you gave before, for anyone who doesn't know the context, his problem was he came in and he already was sort of facing hostility, and rather than find a way to sort of compromise, he thought he'd be the one who'd win the war of the egos, and be like, well, I'm the best. If Existence had done that, I'd at least give him credit. Existence looks like he went the fucking FNS way, which is like, sorry guys, is it not working out the way you want? What's that? I'm needed in the back. And he's on some fucking like of mice of men shit like that. Will there be rabbits over there, Shocks? Yeah, sure. Bend down on the ground, blows fucking brains out. It's like, you've let yourself just go like a lamb to the slaughter. Like in that scenario, that my problem with him and FNS is like, have some balls, come in and say, no, that doesn't work. You know what? That's bollocks. I'm not giving my last chance at a top team to you to just fuck over. Let's do it this way. And you know what? If it doesn't work, fire me. There we go. I'll put my skin in the game, as it were, and we'll go either, and it'll work my way, or you know what? It doesn't work anyway, and I need to go on somewhere else. He didn't do that, though. He's done like the FNS, just let himself get capped out for a few months, and just like FNS, he's probably done for a while.
So they're replacing Existence and Smiths with, reportedly, with no reason to doubt the reports, given the source. It was another Nell report. Lucky and Jax. And this, as I said, is very, very surprising to me. Now, Lucky, they're both with 3D Max. Lucky is someone who is 20 years old, on the come up. Very much, if you go and look at his career stats, they're on an upward trajectory. He is right now in career best form at 20 years old. Probably is hitting that age where, in terms of body and mind, he's going to be at like the optimal period for esports development. I totally get that move. I'm on board with it. The Jax one, I don't know about that. Jax is 26, So this is somebody who you would expect has already had a career. Well, the high point of his career, I believe, was playing in Envious Academy. I don't think he's played at a higher... Yeah. I don't think he's played at a team that would be considerably considered higher than that. There's maybe an argument that, Millennium was, or Epsilon when it was the French lineup was. But anyway, back then, I mean, that's going right back. That's like going back to early 2017. He wasn't playing lights out or anything. And so the level of opponents he's been playing at in terms of his career at 26 doesn't impress me at all. I don't know if he's going to have that big game experience. Now, if you look into recent history, they did play Ents recently, and Jax had a pretty good series there, so he showed that he could hang around at that level. He dropped the 30 bomb on one of the maps, an overtime map, albeit. But yeah, I am not feeling the idea of, we're G2, we need to find a solution. We've got established players going out. Let's bring up a 26-year-old French journeyman who has done nothing in the scene, and that's going to be the solution. He's going to be the guy who fixes it. Not on board with it at all. Do not understand the thought process in this. So I'm wondering if you can maybe give me a little bit of insight as to why they would decide to kind of throw all in. And
I've got an angle for you.
Okay.
Are you ready for the angle?
All right, go on.
Who joined G2 as their coach? Source Sky.
Oh, it was
from Envious.
It was Malek, right?
He was the coach of Envious. They were an Envious Academy. If I had to guess, I reckon Ocelot goes to the coach and he goes, right, well, do you know what's going on? Who do we get now? And then he tells them, well, you probably can't get LDLC. Those players have just had signed up. Obviously we can't get Vitality. Plus, what fucking sense would it make to buy back MBK and Apex? We'll just let them go out the door. But you know what? These guys I had in Envious Academy, I always thought maybe these two could make it, if they had the right team. And plus, what do we need? This player, we need a bit of flesh blood here. We need firepower here. That would be my assumption, because I'm with you on that one. Okay, the lucky one. Okay, I could sort of get on board with that. Give him a chance. I still don't think if you're a team like G2 with your spending power, you have absolutely arsed up this existence thing as well, because you've managed to perfectly time the amount of breathing room you were given existence, so that all the other talent you could have wanted isn't available. You've absolutely arsed that one up majorly. Then you've got the factor. I believe that actually Kiyoshima might not even be available, because he might have been playing at the online minor qualifier. I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, what I would instead guess is on the Jax one, that's the only way I can think it through as a reasonable one, because I'm with you. If you're 26 years old, you played a whole bunch. No one ever said before, you're sick, come and play on our team. You're probably not good. I don't buy it, I'm afraid. Not
tier one. Not tier one. That's the key point here. Whenever we talk about good within the context of this G2, podcast.
It has to be tier one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
If G2's even the seventh best team in the world, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
you are supposed to be an elite team by hook or by crook. So I have to assume the Jax one is again, someone like Malek has said, oh, this guy, don't ignore all that. I know he can do this particular role, or he's a good communicator, or whatever. Something from the Smith's book of excuses, of how you can be not that good, but secretly super sick, even though in the game none of it ever shows up. I'd assume something like that.
Yeah, and obviously, of course, it's a good shout with what you're saying about Malek, because he had ties to 3D Max as well, so probably does know these players intimately. I gotta say, it's pretty fucking bold to let him be I don't know, man. I like Carlos. I like him. He's a good lad. I've known him ever since he was a player. Super cool dude. I don't know. I think he's really took the eye off the ball here with the CS team. And I've said it. The Vitality project, as disappointing as that has been, and as tempered as the expectations have, I could still picture that with one or two tweaks being better than where I think this team's going to go. Not because they don't have stars, because if Kenny S gets his shit, I'm going to talk about him in just a second. If Kenny S gets his shit together and Shox somehow can still go off while being an in-game leader, that's enough to win you a game alone. The other three people just have to be there, right? But I think Shox as in-game leader is a notoriously bad thing, and Kenny S has to dip into form. What I was going to bring up relating to the summit You remember that drama with Steele and Kenny S? Some of the stupidest CS drama I've seen in a while. For those who missed it, basically Steele did a segment on the couch where in his role as analysing a game, he talks about how Kenny S makes a lot of stupid mistakes by being really over-aggressive, and it belies, like, somebody of his experience shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes. And Kenny S got very upset about it, and they had a little back and forth on Twitter. Kenny S immediately went to the match fixing thing as if Steele's criticism wasn't valid, completely put up an ad hominem. And of course, it blew up on Reddit and people had their things back and forth. Let me tell you, it's why I'm always haunted by the iBuyPower thing. The more and more I listen to Steele, and I've known Steele many, many years, I'm convinced he's one of the greatest thinkers about the game, period. I think he's one of the smartest people in terms of analysing, breaking down the game, understanding the game that we've ever had. And I think everything he says is always really insightful and smart. I've seen him do things like when we had him on the No Majors Club, he was literally saying, and what's going to happen next is, and 10 seconds later, it would pan out exactly how he said it would. It was why he became a legendary observer, right back at the start when observing wasn't even something you would even think about as a career path. This guy understands CS on an incredible deep level. And if he's telling you that you fucked up and you make stupid mistakes, instead of having a little bitch fit about it, maybe have a word with yourself and say, hang on a minute, this guy does know what he's talking about. Maybe I should go back, review some of my demos. How do I stamp out these silly mistakes, I'm sure Steele's the kind of guy who would happily work on it with you.
He is, but here's the problem. Steele basically just got caught in the Thorin trap, which is because he didn't say as though, like, here's the problem, right? If he'd have said, you know what, Kenny S used to be a great player, like all the fucking disclaimers and caveats, he used to be a great player. I admired him a lot when he was very good and when he was entitled, when he was motivated, he's one of the best players. But you know what, in this game, he made some questionable decisions, and I would actually, I'll be critical of whether he understands the current place in the metagame for the AWP, and some of his peaks perhaps belied a hubris to think he's better than he currently is, and he should play within his limits until he gets to the point that perhaps he can be a good player again. Then he could be a bit more aggressive. If he just said all of that, first of all, as you just saw there, cretins on Reddit, it took about 5 times longer than saying the same thing, which we all know, which is just Kenny S is playing a bit shit now. He should be better than this. Why is he making silly mistakes? That's also a lot more entertaining, It gets across easier. Problem is, Kenny S and people who aren't from cultures like North America and the UK will hear that, and all they will hear is, he's shit. And they'll go, no, you. And then you just get like a childish argument that never even addresses the points. Like, it's not like Kenny S said, no, you're wrong. Actually, in my team, they tell me to take those. But, he never made any actual, as he said, it was just an ad hominem. And by the way, just as a little tip for banter out there, don't go for the lowest hanging fruit possible. The lowest. Like, that's like if you ever disagreed with me, I was like, yeah, because I'm not loader. Like, that's not even fucking, there's nothing clever about that. Like, doesn't even do anything, does it?
I got it. But I got to say as well, though, I mean, it's not even about lowest hanging fruit. It's like, maybe don't kick people in the softest part over what is just a very reasonable.
It's just also not connected. Like, here's the thing, okay?
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
If he said, here's how Kenny, okay, here's your tip, Kenny. Here's how you could have done it. If you really wanted to banter him, you could have said something like, oh, sorry, Steele, maybe I just shouldn't use the AWP anymore, like Skadoodle did in that throw that he definitely wasn't a part of. There's fucking banter for you, because that does in a way kick him in the soft bit, but it does it in a playful manner, which actually hides that you're a bitter cunt.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the
my
thing,
specialty.
I've talked about this a lot with Josh, that, like, it's when, like, after a period of, like I say, like years, and it's just the one thing. It like just comes up all the time. People do. There's no need for a fellow pro to do that. Like, if anybody has fucking atoned and done their penance, like these guys. I mean, like, look, it's not even like Josh. Right, Josh went and gave money to charity. Like Josh was the one who was like legitimately showing people that he was like really contrite about everything he did and that he felt bad and that he wished if he could go back in time, he absolutely wouldn't do it. There were other people involved in that who just moved on to other games, right? Peace the fuck out, I'll see you. Or they moved on to like promoting websites and stuff like that and try to line their nest that way. Josh was desperately trying to stay involved in high-level Counter-Strike by any means possible, be it through coaching, playing outside of the major circuit, observing, whatever he had to do. So you've got to recognize that and say, do you know what? I mean, because I've been guilty of this myself in the past. Someone says something at me and it's like a very low-level insult. But because they're the 500th person who've said it, you just fire the nukes immediately. It's just fucking, DEFCON 5 or whatever the fuck it is. Boom. You just level them with something completely unnecessary. And pro to pro, you shouldn't do that. Stick to just calling out commentators and analysts like you like to do. Don't fucking start tearing strips off each other to that degree. Yeah. All Steele had said was, Kenny S, like maybe when you get that first kill, don't have a repeat and die. I mean, that was effective. That's valid criticism. So yeah, it was a bit fucked up. But that being said, anyway, I'm going to stand back and watch how this G2 thing unfolds. Not really a big fan. But maybe they all. I'm sure.
I'm not a big fan either. But what about G2?
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe Malik does know something. I've always said Malik's one of the great unsung heroes of Counter-Strike. So I guess we'll wait and see. Anyway, we'll wrap up the Chicago talk. How are we doing for time, Sam?
Got about
half an hour.
All right, cool. So this was another event that was like, they came thick and fast this past month. I'm glad we're getting into a period, honestly, where we get a little bit of a break. But yeah, this was straight fire. I mean, this was like a really good event. Loads of good teams there. Obviously, like we had the little surprise run from LDLC. And coming into it, we actually were saying, Astralis, maybe they were looking a little bit mortal coming into this. Maybe they could be got at. Let's hang on. I'm just bringing up the bracket here, so I've got it all in front of me, so I know how it went down. Obviously, LDLC made it to 5th to 6th. There were a couple of teams here which I thought that were surprisingly bad, but the big story in terms of upsets that were bad was obviously Na'Vi going out in 13th to 16th. They literally came here kind of riding this, like they've had this pretty imperious march, made it to the Epicenter finals, still very much the second team in the world. Some of the results they had here were fucking horrendous. Like they lost to E United. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Like E United were massive underdogs for that one. They got 2-0'd by Big. You remember how Na'Vi manhandled Big in the fucking major, manhandled them at Cologne. Like there was that again. I wouldn't have seen that coming. So what was up with Na'Vi at this event? Gotta say as well, Simple, unbelievably frustrated here. Like there was a lot of footage of him where not what I'm used to seeing. It was you remember how they had that weird moment at the major where him and Edward had sort of a stare over like an accidental knife. I think it was at the major. Like there was moments where Simple was like punching the table, looked really, really aggro. And the thing with this team is, because it's such a clusterfuck of personalities and egos and people taking checks they don't deserve and getting accolades they don't deserve. I always think it's a ticking time bomb. Was this the event where finally like Na'Vi imploded, or am I just going to be left with egg on my fucking face again?
Well, first of all, we have seen Na'Vi lose best of one. So the E United one was the best of one. Fair enough. And E United has just had FNS join. So, if you want to prime someone for an upset, players that Na'Vi's never heard of, plus actually a vaguely competent in-game leader who has international experience, there's a recipe for a best of one upset. I mean, how the fuck that got to where it did, I don't know. Then losing to Big, obviously it's no like outright cry and shame to lose to. They are a decent team. They're a solid enough team, but they weren't even that good themselves at this event. So yeah, it was kind of underwhelming. Like, you at least want them to do a strong run to kind of make you feel half decent. But I'm with you. Like, I think Na'Vi's they've a massively flawed team. This is another series. I told you this on the last episode. This is a series in which the guys from Navi decided to pick Inferno, a map where I'll look it up very quickly now because I'd love to see what the actual current win rate is for Navi. I'm guessing below 50% on Inferno. I'll just quickly find it.
I've actually got it up in front of me. I'll see if I can get it for you just quicker. We'll have a little race. Little foot race. Right, let me just get
I've got it here. Their win rate is 54% online. Oh no, wait, I'll put the last 3 months, sorry. Last 3 months, 50% win rate. They have won it 5 times, they've lost it 5 times. Why are you picking that as your map? Not least, by the way, because big plays Inferno as well. Like, they're not good on it. It's not one of the top maps, but like you have all these maps you're supposed to be good on. Overpass, which, obviously that was the third map.
I don't want to I don't want to speculate, but obviously, if you remember when Na'Vi beat Astralis, right? We all remember it was on that map, and we all remember who dropped the fucking 30 bomb.
Exactly.
It was fucking Zeus, in-game leader extraordinaire.
Listen, now, I'll say a fair play to him for giving me the sample size to again prove that he is conclusively a fucking shit individual player. Yeah. Now come at me Kenny S style. Maybe say that through games or something.
I mean, it's right. He'll just
go, maybe you hit me because I seemed Polish to you. And I'll be like, yeah, brilliant one. Great one, Zeus. Why don't you just give me a fucking fake rollie and maybe I'll pretend you're good as well.
Mate, he'll just secretly film you next event you're both at, like some spurned ex. But like, I'll say like just knowing what I know about the guy, and keep in mind, I've been around this guy since 1.6. I remember the first time I ever interviewed him, where he was just a supremely rude cunt to me. And he's always been that type of guy, like to look down on people. I know he always presents himself as being like man of the people. Easy to say that when you're driving your fucking third Lambo in a country where you have always vastly earned well above the national average, like 5 times the national average. But yeah, like it wouldn't surprise me if he was picking Inferno because he's like, well, I had a good game.
You know what? I'm going to ask you. You know what? I won't ask you. We have a rule on this show. We just say straight fire if we've got it. So, normally, and one of the things I don't do is I don't reveal private stuff. I don't reveal like some of the players.
Yeah, of course.
Please don't say this, But I guess technically this happened in public. So I'll tell you this story. This is one of the reasons why no matter what he does in the game, which I respect thoroughly, and I think his achievements have been very good. And I think he has some flaws like a lot of in-game leaders do when they get a bit big for their own head and they think they've cracked the whole game. But accomplishments-wise, one of the greatest we've had. But as a person, I've never vibed with Zeus for exactly the reason you're saying. And all the sort of like, haha, like, aren't these funny jokes, etc. First of all, he reminds me of Shaq, where it's like, it's only funny when he's roasting everyone. When he gets roasted, it's like he's just like fucking deeply hurt inside and lashes out. And then you've got the angle of like, some of it does feel like it's in line with how financially successful you are at the time. So when everything's going great, love the fans. All right, guys. So I'll tell you this story. One of the first proper interactions I had with him, because he spoke very little English back in 1.6, was I was at that Cyber Arena and it was some event. I'm going to guess off the top of my head, like IEM European Championship for season 5 or something in Kiev, where they used to have it at the Cyber Arena sometimes. And at that Cyber Arena, the home arena of Na'Vi, it's where they still hold Star Series now. I was there, right? And I was just walking down from the stage where I'd done like an interview. And some kid came up to Zeus, who was passing by me, and says in Russian, like, oh, can I have a photo with you or something? So Zeus just says to me, like, take, and then hands me like the kid's phone. So I take the photo, right? And because it's one of those ones where, because it was a LAN cafe, they used to keep the lights pretty low, except on the stage, right? Because they want people at the PCs to not have too much like that. So anyway, when I take the shot, especially with an old phone, we're talking like almost 10 years, no, it'd be like, whatever, like 7 years ago. So phones weren't that great. And by the way, we're in fucking Ukraine and this is a little 12-year-old kid's phone. He's not rocking his iPhone 1 or whatever. I get this phone, I take the picture, and then when I take a selfie with fans, I famously always keep my eye on the preview on the screen, because if it blurs, I go, come on, take another one, because I don't want them to go home and go to their friends. Look, I got a picture with, oh no, it's fucked. So this little kid, right, who has a fucking Na'Vi shirt on, Zeus on them, everything, he goes to me like, take the picture. I take the picture and then I go, oh, wait a second, guys, take it again. It was blurred. And Zeus just goes, it's fine. And then just hands the phone back to the kid and the kid just goes off. And in that moment, I just thought, you're fucking wretched, mate. I can't wait till about 7 years from now when I have a podcast. You've talked enough shit that I just drop that bomb and then just let the fans decide.
No, mate, no one will even say anything about it. And like with me, it was even worse. Like what he did with me was because obviously, like his English isn't the best. We and I knew the management at Narvi, and I was at an event. I want to say it was ESWC 2010. But when they were like the best team, but it might have been 2011. I can't remember which one it was. It was an ESWC. I'm sure about that. And I was quite friendly with the management. I was like, you know what, Cadred is getting into like 1.6 coverage. It'd be great if we could do like an interview with a great team like Narvi. You know, I was super respectful. And he was like, oh, yeah, of course. I'd love to get my players to come over. I was like interviewing a mate. Like it was like an audio recording, I think. I've never, like, this was like, it reminded me of when I was a music journalist. And I used to interview actual musicians, you know, and just how derisory they were, like as if they were, you know, it was it was like every time I asked him a question, they would say in like broken English, "Who the fuck is this cunt?" They would just be like laughing, like. I was like,
that's actually amazing though. That does sound bad when you say it like that.
Like just
it's the fact they're not even saying it in Russian. They just go,
"Yeah,
what the fuck is this?"
Like some mad nardwar, like, how'd you know?
Yeah, and then like every time I asked them a question, it was just like they would explain rather than answer the question. They would explain why the question was shit. Which goes,
you know what, Zeus? I figured it out. I'll give you Zeus. I'll give you one chance. This is how you can fix all the beef, and we'll all go back to just talking about you in the game, and we'll get rid of all the pettiness. Right? You have to agree for Richard's channel to do an intro for him that goes, "Hi, this is Zeus. Richard Lewis. Who the fuck is this cunt?" It's brought to you by Rivalry. If you do that, we will squash all the beef. We'll consider you a redeemed man. Until then, you are persona non grata.
Keep in mind, this was as well when they were like, the entire team at that time were like, who got caught ghosting? Was it Senya?
Yes.
Yeah, and then who was the one who kicked Forrest's PC in the middle of a clutch? Zeus. That was Zeus, was it? Was that Zeus who kicked the PC? Was this? Yeah, do people know that story? Because I was there with that.
He did that twice. What I did is he did it once accidentally in a normal round, you know, randomly. And then I think it was Robin or something. The guy who's the face coach now was like, what the fuck? They've kicked out PC. And then later in a 1v1, against Forrest, he accidentally kicked it again. And Forrest's keyboard disconnected. Now, I don't know if you know about something called coincidences, but like there aren't coincidences like that. You don't accidentally kick someone's keyboard out during a 1v1. It just doesn't happen.
I was stood there. I had footage of it.
Like what happened? Like what? As you were about to take the 1v1, Senya leans over and goes, "Let's just check his reflexes." Ding! What's that? They work. Yeah, he's kicked the keyboard out. Sorry about that, mate. I was checking your reflexes here. The leg works. The leg works.
I had footage of it, which I actually deleted because I think you might be able to find footage of it on Fragbite because it was like me. The Fragbite journalist was there, Robin or whatever his name is. But Forrest went fucking wild because no, but people don't know that Forrest. Like that was the thing.
Here's the thing, because
Forrest is a fucking G.
So the team that got ghosted against was Fnatic. And Fnatic in the past, when Forrest was in them, also thought that some of the Na'Vi players had ghosted at IEMs, where like the last guy on the line could sort of vaguely see the screen. So there was already a precedent within the Swedish scene where they thought that Na'Vi was like still a very good team, but shady. Much as the UK source scene thought Very Games was a bit shady, you know, same exact concept where it's like, yes, they're the best, but do you have to do all the extra shit as well? That was kind of the vibe with it. So you're right. Someone like Forrest, who at the time, remember, there wasn't like social media, but he was kicking off, mate. He wasn't happy.
No, I mean, it was very heated, put it that way, which was why I think we had it up on the Cadred Clips channel. It used to be called Cadred Clips. And like I say, I think Fragbite is the only other channel that has footage of it. But I deleted it out of respect to Forrest because I thought, I know what fucking fans can be like, you know, especially when you're dealing with like beloved members of the community, Zeus, in-game leader for that legendary Na'Vi, you know what I mean? So I was like, just take that off because there's just no need to have it on there. But I obviously regret it because it was like, I mean, people have to remember that Na'Vi team, they had a bad rep with a lot of teams for valid reasons. And I've always thought that they were a bit cuntish. There you go. People are saying Rakaka has the footage. Well, of course they do. But anyway, so I don't know how the fuck we went down that particular cul-de-sac. But like
we're banging on about Zeus and Na'Vi at this time.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. I think picking Inferno is a folly, but I think in general, they're still cruising on this whole simple electronic dynamic. They haven't.
They're literally taking that guy for granted, mate. They're acting like he's going to do this. Because even at this tournament, by the way, he was wrecking them. He was wrecking everyone he's facing. And if you can go out last place with him wrecking everyone, you're a fucking genius, mate. I'm going to have to go back to the old joke. The only in-game leader who can shut Simple down every game is fucking Zeus. Because he can stop him winning the game no matter what Simple does.
Yeah, it's like you think about the options that Simple must have had. I know he signed this 2-year deal. I know, he wanted out an RV, and they somehow persuaded him to stay. And it might be a golden handcuff situation. Can you just imagine, if you put him into any team? Obviously, I know he doesn't want to play in fucking NA, but you imagine slotting him into Liquid. Nitro out or whatever. Simple comes in. Someone else just. You don't need to be a great in-game leader. You've got Simple now, or if that proposed move of Flamey and Simple to MIBR happened, MIBR straight into contention, or if he went to fucking FaZe in some mad power play, wherever he goes, that as long as it is to a reasonable level, around about Na'Vi's level, that team is the team that can dethrone Astralis. It's
think how weird that is, Rich. So we know, even with Astralis winning every tournament, most people would agree Simple is still the best player. It doesn't matter what Device does. Device at this point in time can do anything. It just doesn't matter, mate. You can't be number one because of how good this guy is. So as we all sit around every week going, so how is someone going to get past this Astralis team now? What's that? There's a guy who already showed inclinations of going to an international team who can go to literally any of the other contender teams. Put it fucking together, boys. It's obvious, isn't it? Whoever puts a good team around Simple does it.
No, yeah, well, and again, I mean, imagine a world where Electronic and Simple go out in Na'Vi. I mean, let's say, because keep in mind, Simple wanted Electronic. Electronic was brought in a reasonable...
Yeah, but Simple's going to have to make the hard decision and be like, they're expecting one of us in the wreckage, brother. It's going to have to, he's going to have to do that and be like, it's your turn now, cunt. See, I'm off.
Yeah, the fire has to rise. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Electronic could still single-handedly carry Na'Vi.
But Simple, how will we possibly win without you? The Flamey rises, brother. he's out, isn't he? No one cared who I was till I carried Flamey's bitch ass. Love you, Flamey. Nothing against you, mate. You're straight rolling.
No, he's fucking he's a legend. Love Flamey. So there was that. So I was very surprised at how badly they did. But like you say, I mean, I think this team is just punching above its weight every single fucking time it's had these deep runs in tournaments, winning tournaments. There are just players that just are not top tier on that roster, and they're getting carried. They're getting unbelievably carried by just big people that are capable of performances that defy logic and expectation. So yeah, there was the Na'Vi equation. We'll get to the top end now. I thought it was a pretty good finish for FaZe overall. Getting to the semi-finals. Especially that they were able to build on that tournament win they had at Epicenter. It showed it wasn't a fluke. They did lose to Liquid. The nature of that defeat, as you said, was pretty fucking harsh because you have a definitive Inferno win, but then Liquid 16-1 on Mirage, 16-4 on Cash. I don't know what happened. What did you make of Liquid here? Because I know obviously they were the runners-up. They got that silver medal yet again. Couldn't get over the hurdle. By the way, being consistent silver medalists in the Astralis era, no shame in that whatsoever for me.
But sadly, they are going to get exactly the same treatment as your boys Very Games did when they used to be behind NIP at the beginning of CSGO, which is even though you're clearly number two, you beat everyone else because you didn't beat number one and because you came second. It's true. People do only remember the winners. Way more people in the world know Nip 87 and Zero won all the tournaments than know Very Games second place at all the tournaments at the time was only losing a Nip. The amount that I'd be able to get the follow up there so low. So likewise, people will look back sadly at Team Liquid and probably go, they weren't good enough, which, yeah, they have bobbed a few tournaments without Astralis. I'm with you on that one. But for all we know, the tournaments where they actually were playing their best were the ones where they've lost to Astralis. So you can never know. Remember, if you give me a sample size of 10 matches, I can't promise I'm always going to be on fire in the exact one match where I don't have to play Astralis. So for all we know, like you saw it at this tournament, it was still very, very good. The only team they lost to before Astralis was Fnatic, and Fnatic was on a heater at this tournament with a brand new lineup that no one had played against. So I don't think, I will say the nature of how they lost to Astralis, depressing, because they look like, this is also what happens, you know, when teams play each other and one team wins over and over and over again. It's not, as random plebs would imagine, that you play over and over again, and because you played a lot, the team that was losing gets closer and closer and closer and closer, because that's like a myth. It's only, there's only some teams get worse when they play you more. Like a team like Astralis, if anything, it's like when you play like fucking Tom Brady or something, they just keep figuring you out even more. Like beat, if you get even close to beating them, that then teaches them what they have to do next time to beat you by even more. So it's like Astralis is absolutely shit on them in a way it's depressing. But take the Astralis part of the equation, very good tournament again. What a fabulous run, beat FaZe Clan, like you say.
And gotta give some.
Because by the way, I'll just say this one detail.
Yeah, sure,
one thing to quickly just say. One thing that tilts me about this angle of the fact that you only celebrate winners, it's, let's be absolutely clear. This Team Liquid core is so far ahead of what any other 5-man NA lineup has ever done. It's ridiculous. And that might sound mad because Cloud9 won the major, but go look at what else Cloud9 did. They used to be top 4, but the kind of top 4 where like they 100% will lose to the 3 teams above them. This team only can't beat Astralis. Every other team they have beaten, they've beaten FaZe Clan now. They've beaten Na'Vi a few times. They've beaten Mousespot, beaten everyone. It's only Astralis. No NA team was ever this legit. They do it event after event as well. Cloud9, that one had a really nice major. Cloud9 a few years back won that one EPL. Go way back to Showgaze. They had those 3 tournaments and one of them was a bit ropey. Other than that, no one's come close to being it. This is so legit. Like, considering they are an NA team, that's why I have to give them props.
Yeah, well, look, you know, I wanted to give some love to Fnatic as well. Also finished in that 3rd to 4th, you know, semi-final, lost to Astralis, took a map off them. How's this for a statistic? Simple was the best player in terms of rating, of course. Nico, the second best, and then it was Crims. And this is one in the win column for us because we said, well, if Fnatic go and get that young, exciting prospect, Brollan, and, you know, maybe change it up a little bit. I mean, we wanted Exist to go out of the team. I still think that's a valid move, but whatever. You know, and I thought Brollan had a pretty good tournament up until the Astralis game as well in terms of raw firepower. JW was sort of good. This is like the best I've seen Fnatic in a fucking long time. And again, all based around that like powerhouse Crims performance. So is this like the classic Fnatic anomaly where they just have that one good tournament and then it's going to be fucking another 3 months of mediocrity? Or is this actually legitimate something to build on with that exciting Brollan talent at the heart of it, Crims being able to maintain this form now that he's a little bit fucking less stressed out with other, you know, periphery problems having been removed from the lineup?
I'm with you on the Exist thing. I still think that will end up being a limiting factor. So bearing in mind, Exist likes to run more of a loose team. It's just on the firepower. If they have the firepower like they did at this event in certain games, they look pretty good, actually. Map pool, they're winning maps that everyone plays. Inferno, Mirage. This is legit shit. You know, it's not like they're just one of these teams where, like, one of the reasons I also don't consider NRG that legit is because their best map by far is Overpass, and there's almost no teams in the play no teams in the scene out of choice play Overpass. So that's almost like if they don't ban it against you, it's not their perma, you get a good chance at a one map win anyway. So that's just luck on their part. Team like Fnatic's going right into the heart of everyone's map pool. Teams like Team Liquid, fucking and Astralis are loving those maps. You're just going right in there, beating them or taking them close. That is legit. The Brollan part looks good so far. Seems like a guy with a lot of talent, still very young. He's already had a nice big series over Team Liquid. Crims is a monster. Glad that he's back in form, because you notice actually when Fnatic got really bad a month or two ago, he also dropped off. Like, he looked like his motivation was sapped. Remember, he was the one who did that tweet where it was low-key sort of referencing fucking what's his name, Draken, where it was sort of like, wow, all this negativity and stuff. It's like that's telling when a guy.
Well, or Flusher, or Flusher.
One of the two. I think they implied it was Flusher. Yeah, whatever it was. When a player like that complains, he's normally like the silent killer, mate. They're the ones who don't comment. Like, he's the sort of guy, no joke, where I've seen him come like top 4 at a tournament in the old days of Fnatic and do really well, but lose. And if I ever said to him privately, like, you did really well in this tournament, he'd be like, guy who gives this shit, fucking lost anyway. And it's like, that's actually a sick attitude, you know, in a way. Like, you've got a killer instinct. So if he's happy, that tells me at least something within the team works and he's feeling confident about it.
And I've always said, if ever there was like a player who should take that, like, 10 minutes to fucking midnight big money move as his career's starting to wind down, it's 100% Crims. The talent he's got, the form he's in, and again, you look at the teams and what they're lacking. Put it this way: if you were going to replace either Carrigan or Rain at FaZe, Crims has got to be, he's going to be.
You fucking got Olafmeister to get this guy in. These two guys have fucking telepathy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. The old LGB pairing. I've always said that, obviously if FaZe can't make that big money move to get Simple in, if you wanted to fucking have a roll of the dice, because Fnatic, for all they're a very good and successful organization, they've never been one to hold on to players when the money's right. No. So and FaZe are an org that could definitely pay that money. So
they've also, as far as I know, never been one that had the most money.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. I've always thought the fucking FaZe Crims move is something that, if I was playing Fantasy Manager for CS, that would be something I would absolutely look at doing. And then, of course, the final story to talk about, just for my Chicago, Astralis, of course, winning it. Not really a big surprise at this point. I mean, they just keep finding ways to win, even coming into a tournament like this where they weren't looking the best, they weren't looking 100%. They're still clearly the best in show. I guess the only question I can ask is, how long does this fucking era last? Because this has pretty much been we get out of Q1 in 2018 and then it's pretty much all about Astralis.
It's like I said, right? The reason why this is a definition I hadn't actually come up with in the past, but I came up with when Astralis first. No, actually, I think I did it when Astralis was with the lineup when they got Kirby and they won the major and they started to look like they were going to be dominant that time. Because I thought about that whole topic of how do you define when it's someone's era? Because the big problem with the whole era topic is people always get down on the idea that if you ever lose any match, the era's over. I know people meme when they do it, but some people really believe it. There's too many people out there, I've said this before, really believe NIP 87-0 was 3 years of CSGO and Fnatic 2015 never lost to anyone. There's a load of mad myths out there in the scene. Whereas the whole point of being dominant isn't that you never lose. It's that, ultimately, even if you lose, it's still all about you. The story when Fnatic 2015 lost is you beat Fnatic. It wasn't you won. It's the same with Astralis now. If you beat Astralis, you're not going to become the number one team. It's wow, the number one team Astralis has lost. No one can beat them. So really, that is a defining quality as well. You either win or it's all about you fucking losing. That just shows that everything in the fucking scene revolves around you as a team. So same scenario at this tournament. If Fnatic had won, that would have been the storyline. If FaZe had won, that would have been the storyline, that they beat Astralis. They wouldn't be the new number one team. So what's sick is Astralis still won anyway, but more importantly, they even won this one when it wasn't even about dominance. They won this one where it's it is the old teams that are just great teams. When they start to lag a bit, they still can steal a win somehow. It's mad.
Yeah, like I said, I can't think of a team in terms of just the system they put in place that's ever been as good as this in CSGO. I mean, we've had eras before, but in terms of just tactical approach, because this is the madness. You look at individual levels of performance. I think at that IEM Chicago event, I don't even think they had one player statistically in the top 10.
Most of them were actually pretty lackluster for the whole event. Obviously, one guy had a match here and one guy had a match. No, that's the sickest part, mate. They lost a bunch. They came close to getting eliminated. No one had great overall stats, and yet at the end they still 3-0 the final and take the trophy and another fucking massive check home. It's a joke for these guys at this point.
Yeah, it's all about that system. I mean, while we were talking about awards, which will bring a nice little sort of circular end to the show, Zonic got nominated. The one good thing that Game Awards did is they had esports coach of the year. Yanko was nominated. Might gloss over that one. But Zonic, I mean, it's got to be him hands down. I can't think of a coach even in another esports game that's had a level of dominance with the team that they've been with, akin to what Zonic has achieved at Astralis.
Mate, make him the coach of the fucking Raiders. He'll figure it out in a few weeks. He's got a few more.
Mate, why are you bringing the Raiders?
That's your G2, son. That's your G2.
No, it's made it hurts. It fucking hurts.
And they've also just picked up Lucky and Jax. Of the NFL.
I'd take them. It's fucking, mate, we're signing people from our practice
except
squad.
They've actually transferred Shox and Kenny S to the NFL. Not quite, but it's not a bad analogy. Anyway, let's start wrapping this up. I have to go in a minute.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up. Don't worry. I've got the time. I noticed how Sam gave me the timer and the thing, so we're good. Right, so I'll need those titles, though. But there you have it. So that's pretty much another episode of By the Numbers. So all that remains to be said is, of course, shout out to the sponsor, Rivalry.gg. You can go to rivalry.gg/RLS, qualify for up to $350 of VIP bonuses. And, of course, our patrons, the people who dig deep into their pockets. We love them, really. We always say how much we hate him. We don't, of course. That's just Duncan. He's a grouchy old man. So that's our $100 patrons. Botvic, $150 there. Thank you very much. Detlef Insomniac, Kyolu, and Jerky's Minion. Remember, you guys who donate 100, 150, you can ask questions. We'll answer them for you. You indeed are giving more than a penny for our thoughts. Happy to do it. And our $50 patrons, Manuel Stockley, Reykjavik on Steam, Sard Sawar, Daniel Plamanov Yordnov, Pete Bidstrup, TC Owens, Watch Doge, Carve, Roosty, Ditter Dornoff, Christensen, Nostradamus, Marcus Kjumpar, Madsen, Colin Penny. Fucked all that up syntax-wise. It's in a different line today. So Marcus Kjumpar, Madsen, Colin Penny, Benakagi Asashian, and William Southern. That was another episode of By the Numbers. We'll be back sometime next week. We'll let you know when, and until then, take care of yourselves.